If you depend on Social Security to pay your mortgage, buy groceries, or refill prescriptions, what I am about to explain could matter to you this month. Not next year, not someday, but right now. There is a new banking rule that has just become active. While it does not cut your benefit, it can affect how and when your Social Security deposit shows up in your account. For some people, it may mean no change at all. For others, it could mean a short delay, a temporary hold, or even a return deposit if something in your banking information does not match perfectly. If you live month to month, even a 24-hour delay can feel serious. Today, I am going to break this down clearly and calmly so you understand exactly what is happening, why it is happening, and what it means for your check. If you appreciate steady, fact-based updates without panic or rumors, consider subscribing to stay informed. This channel is here to help you protect your benefits and your peace of mind. Now let us talk about what actually changed. The new rule is not coming from the Social Security Administration directly. Your benefit formula has not changed. Your eligibility has not changed. The law has not changed. What changed is how banks are now required to screen and verify incoming federal deposits, including Social Security, Supplemental Security Income, Social Security Disability Insurance, and other Treasury payments. Here is what this means for you. When the United States Treasury sends out Social Security payments, the money does not come straight from the Social Security Administration to your bank in a simple one-step process. It moves through the Treasury electronic payment system, then through the automated clearinghouse network, what we call ACH, and finally into your bank account. Under the updated compliance standards, banks are now required to apply enhanced fraud detection filters and identity verification checks to certain federal payments. These rules were strengthened after a rise in benefit-related scams and identity theft cases over the past 2 years. Banks are now more cautious, and that caution can sometimes create friction. Let me explain why this matters. In the past, if your routing number and account number matched, the deposit usually went straight through. Now, in addition to that, banks may automatically check whether the name on the Social Security deposit matches the exact name on the bank account, whether the account was recently opened or recently modified, whether there were recent changes in direct deposit instructions, and whether the account has unusual activity patterns. If something triggers the system, the bank may place a temporary review hold before releasing the funds. This does not mean your benefit is gone. It does not mean it was canceled. It means the bank is verifying it. That verification can take 24 to 72 hours in certain cases. Now let me give you a realistic example. Let us say Mary Thompson in Ohio retired last year. She recently switched from a local credit union to a national bank because her branch closed. She updated her direct deposit information with Social Security 3 weeks ago. Her March payment was scheduled for the second Wednesday of the month based on her birthday. The Treasury sent the funds on time, but because the account was newly linked to federal deposits and had no prior Treasury payment history, her bank new compliance filter flagged it for identity confirmation. The money was not lost. It was held internally for review for 1 business day. Mary checked her account at 6 in the morning and did not see the deposit. Panic set in. By the next afternoon, the funds were released. Nothing was cut. Nothing was canceled. But that short delay caused real stress. This is the layer that is new. It is happening because fraud against federal benefit recipients has increased significantly. Criminals have been attempting to redirect direct deposits, open fraudulent accounts, and impersonate beneficiaries. In response, the Treasury and financial institutions tightened verification requirements. This is where many people get confused. They hear new rule and assume it means benefit reduction or eligibility changes. That is not what this is. Your Social Security retirement benefit is still calculated based on your lifetime earnings record. Your Supplemental Security Income benefit is still determined by federal limits and income rules. Your Social Security Disability Insurance eligibility is still tied to your disability status and work credits. Those core programs have not changed because of this banking rule. What has changed is the compliance layer between the Treasury and your bank. For most people, there will be no noticeable difference. However, certain situations are more likely to trigger a delay. These include recent bank changes, name mismatches, even something as small as a missing middle initial. Joint accounts, where the primary account holder name does not match the beneficiary name exactly, representative payee arrangements, closed or dormant accounts, or account updates made very close to your scheduled deposit date. Here is why that timing matters. When you update your direct deposit with Social Security, it can take 1 to 2 payment cycles for the change to fully process through every Treasury system. If a new account receives its first federal deposit shortly after being linked, the bank may treat it as higher risk until it establishes a pattern. Again, that does not mean denial. It means verification. Let me explain how the payment flow actually works. Social Security transmits payment files to the United States Treasury several days before your official payment date. Treasury then releases those funds through the ACH system to banks overnight. Most banks credit the funds immediately upon receipt, but under the new rule, some institutions now run automated identity and fraud analytics before final posting. That step can create a slight processing delay if the system needs additional confirmation. For example, if your Social Security deposit historically arrives at 3 in the morning, but this month it does not appear until 2 in the afternoon, that may simply reflect enhanced screening, not a problem with your benefits. I want to be very clear here. This is not a freeze of Social Security. It is not a hidden cut. It is not a restructuring of retirement benefits. It is a banking compliance update focused on fraud prevention and account verification. However, even small procedural changes can feel huge when you rely on that deposit for rent, utilities, or medication. That is why understanding this now is so important. When something feels unexpected, fear fills the gap, and clarity replaces fear. Now let us talk about exactly who is most likely to see an impact under this new banking rule. For the majority of retirees and disability recipients, nothing changes. If your bank account has been the same for years, your name matches exactly, and you have not made any recent updates, your deposit will likely arrive just like it always has. But certain situations increase the chances of a temporary hold. The first is a recent bank change. If you opened a new checking account in the past 30 to 60 days and updated your direct deposit, that first or second federal payment may go through additional screening. Banks now treat new Treasury-linked accounts as higher risk until they establish a normal pattern. The second is a name mismatch. This sounds small, but it matters. If your Social Security record says Robert J. Williams and your bank account says Bob Williams, the automated system may flag that difference. Even missing suffixes like junior or senior can trigger a review. It does not mean the deposit will be rejected. It means it might pause briefly while the bank confirms identity. The third is joint accounts and representative payees. If you receive benefits but the primary name on the bank account belongs to a spouse or caregiver, banks may run extra checks. That is especially true for Supplemental Security Income recipients with payee arrangements. The fourth is closed or dormant accounts. If a deposit is sent to an account that was recently closed, the bank will automatically return it to the Treasury. That can take several business days before Social Security reissues the payment. This is where many people panic, thinking their benefits stopped, when in reality it is just being rerouted. Here is what this means for you. Timing matters. Social Security payments follow a predictable schedule. If you receive Supplemental Security Income, your payment typically arrives on the first of the month. If you started benefits before May of 1997, you are usually paid on the 3rd. Everyone else is paid on Wednesdays based on birth date. The second Wednesday for birthdays between the 1st and the 10th, the third Wednesday for the 11th through the 20th, and the fourth Wednesday for the 21st through the 31st. Now add banking compliance on top of that. If your payment date falls right after a federal holiday, the Treasury may release funds early. But under stricter screening, a bank might still take additional hours to finalize posting. That is how people see deposits shift by a day and assume something is wrong. This is where many people get confused. They see social media posts claiming benefits are being reduced or frozen. They hear rumors about funding shortages. But this rule is not about cutting benefits. It is about verifying deposits before they fully clear. A temporary hold is not a cancellation. A delay of 1 business day is not a policy change. A verification review is not a benefit reduction. Understanding that difference protects your peace of mind. When systems tighten, small mistakes matter more. The good news is that most deposit issues can be prevented with a few simple checks. First, verify your banking information directly with Social Security. If you have not logged into your My Social Security account in a while, this is a good time to do it. Confirm your routing number, confirm your account number, make sure there are no extra digits, no transposed numbers, and no outdated accounts listed. Second, look at how your name appears on your bank account. Does it match your Social Security record exactly? If your benefit is under James A. Carter, but your bank account says Jim Carter, it may not cause a problem, but it increases the chance of a flag. Consistency reduces friction. Third, avoid switching bank accounts right before your payment date. If you need to change accounts, try to do it at least 3 to 4 weeks before your next scheduled deposit. That gives the Treasury system time to fully update before funds are transmitted. Fourth, if you use a joint account or have a representative payee, double-check that the beneficiary name is properly listed on the account. A quick call to your bank can confirm how the account is coded internally. Now, let us talk about what to do if your deposit does not show up when you expect it. If your payment is missing on the morning of your scheduled date, do not panic immediately. Wait until the end of the business day. Some banks post later in the day after verification clears. If it is still not there the next morning, contact your bank first, not Social Security. In many cases, the bank can see a pending Treasury deposit that has not been released yet. That saves you hours on hold with the Social Security Administration. If the bank tells you the payment was returned because of a closed account or mismatch, then contact Social Security right away to correct the deposit information. Returned payments usually take several business days to cycle back through the Treasury system before being reissued. Now let us talk about budgeting, because this is the part many people overlook. Even a one-day delay can create stress if every dollar is already assigned. If possible, build a small buffer. Even $100 to $300 in your account over time can help. I know that is easier said than done, but even a modest cushion gives you breathing room if a deposit posts a day late. If you are concerned about utilities or rent hitting before your deposit clears, call your provider. Many companies offer short grace periods, especially for seniors on fixed income. Also remember that your benefit amount itself has not changed because of this banking rule. Any increase you see this year would come from the annual cost of living adjustment. Medicare. Part B premiums are still deducted the same way. Proposed stimulus payments being discussed in Congress, if they ever pass, would still move through the same Treasury deposit system. The core program remains intact. This update is about verification, not reduction. When you understand the mechanics, it becomes much less intimidating. A new banking rule can sound intimidating. Words like compliance, verification, and screening do not feel comforting, but when you strip it down to its purpose, it becomes much clearer. This update is about protecting federal payments from fraud. It is about making sure that when the United States Treasury sends your Social Security, Supplemental Security Income, or Social Security Disability Insurance deposit, it lands in the correct account, your account, and not someone else's account. Here is what this means for you. Your benefit formula has not changed. Your eligibility has not changed. Your payment schedule has not been rewritten. What has changed is that banks are taking an extra look at certain deposits before final posting. For most people, you will never notice it. For some, it may mean a short delay if something in your account setup triggers a review. That is an important distinction. A short delay is not a cut. A verification hold is not a cancellation. A returned payment due to a closed account is not a benefit suspension. Those are mechanical issues. They are solvable. They are temporary. This is where many people let fear take over. They see a missing deposit at 7 in the morning and immediately assume the worst. But in today's environment, banks are cautious, especially with federal funds. That caution exists to prevent scams, identity theft, and unauthorized changes. Let us briefly summarize the most important takeaway in simple terms. If your banking information is correct and unchanged, your Social Security deposit should continue arriving as scheduled. If you recently changed accounts, updated personal information, or have a name mismatch, you may experience a short verification delay. Your benefit amount itself is not being reduced because of this rule. Clarity replaces anxiety. Now, I want to encourage you to stay engaged and informed. If you are comfortable sharing, consider leaving a comment with the state you are watching from and whether you have noticed any change in your deposit timing. Different banks handle compliance slightly differently, and hearing from others can help everyone understand what is normal. If you have recently switched banks and experienced a delay, your experience may help someone else avoid panic. Remember, Social Security remains a federally funded program operating under current law. Payments are continuing. The Treasury is sending deposits. Banks are processing them. The system is functioning, just with tighter safeguards. Tighter safeguards, while sometimes inconvenient, exist to protect your money. You worked for decades to earn these benefits. You paid into the system. Your check matters. Your financial stability matters. Your peace of mind matters just as much. Stay proactive. Verify your information. Keep a small buffer if you can. Contact your bank first if something looks off. Most importantly, do not let rumors shape your understanding. When you understand how the system works, you stay in control. That is how you protect your benefits, not with fear, but with knowledge. That confidence makes all the difference.
Yeah, grind mode on, can't kill my drive. Turn the pressure up, I come alive. Grind mode on, I don't fold, I don't quit. Hunger in my chest, every beat I commit. Eyes on the prize, no sleep till it's won. World in my hands when the grind mode's on. Wake up with a vision, I'm locked on the target. Turn pain into fuel, I'm a flame, I spark it. No shortcuts here, I embrace every test. Pressure on my shoulders, still I handle it best. I was made for the climb, every loss, every scar. Built me in the steel, now I shine like a star. If the road gets rough, I just double my speed. Ambition on 10, I was born to lead. Grind mode on, I don't fold, I don't quit. Hunger in my chest, every beat I commit. Eyes on the prize, no sleep till it's won. World in my hands when the grind mode's on. They said limits exist, but I shattered the frame. Every wall in my path is just fuel for the frame. Discipline heavy, but my spirit is free. I don't chase success, success chases me. I'm the storm and the calm, I'm the rise, I'm the proof. Every bar that I drop is the grind in the booth. Blood, sweat, tears, that's the code I trust. I don't wait for the crown, I earn it, I must.